The most profound experience you can have in the physical body is known by many names, sometimes referred to as the remembering, ascension, the awakening, or enlightenment. It is the realization of the power within you. Most of us live under the illusion that we need others to make us feel whole and complete. We slip into a mode of endlessly running on autopilot, living out our days, weeks, years, and even decades with the same routines, trials, and tribulations. We simply carry out our day-to-day tasks and challenges, all under the veil of forgetfulness. When we take the time to step out of the self-imposed practices and begin to reflect on who we truly are and why we are here, the age-old question is asked: what is the purpose of life? You begin a process of self-discovery, and you search and thirst for knowledge because you've been told that everything is outside of you, and others' thoughts and opinions are more important than yours. We must have our reflections sent back to us for validation. Many of us are taught not how to trust our inner intuition or what it even is. We attend school and grow up never really understanding why society operates the way that it does, and that it is our responsibility to know right from wrong. Each and every person in this world experiences life from their own unique perspective. Once you begin the process of your awakening and realizing your greatest potential, that all the answers you seek about anything is waiting to be unlocked inside of you. Releasing fear and doubt makes room for confidence and acceptance. It is within the seeking you learn about yourself and you gain wisdom and knowledge. See yourself the way Source sees you and the power of unconditional love and acceptance, and that you are whole and complete just as you are. You can learn to tap into this energy, utilize the abundance of love and support that awaits you. You will never find this anywhere else except deep within yourself. When we learn to trust ourselves and validate our experiences, it changes you in profound ways. Self-mastery is work, and if you're committed to personal growth, the universe will support your free will choices. And when you recognize the power of you, you can accept it in others, and you will be drawn to their light. These souls lead by example and are the way showers for growth, expansion, love, and guidance. Finally, applying all these lessons that you've learned, working in tandem with spirit, serving the light, serving yourself and others, doing it with integrity and honesty, from a true, authentic point of view, protecting your energy, and leading yourself with very strong values and strong boundaries, you will find the power of you. Awesome, awesome. Welcome, everyone, to Andromeda 7, your celestial gateway. It's good to see you guys. Boy, we missed everybody. Whoops, looks like I got two Grandpa Brians here. Let's see. Let's kick that one. I'm hoping that's the right. Yeah, I got it right. Cool. Well, you guys, it's been a couple of weeks. Yep. It's good to see everybody in chat. Let's go ahead and welcome everyone. Chloe, good to see you. Hope your crystal business is doing well. Sounds like it is. That's fantastic. Scotty boy, always a pleasure. It's good to see your smiling little fish face in here. Is that a fish he's holding? Yeah.
Yeah.
Lucky Stone, good to see you as well. Always a pleasure. I love seeing you in here. And thank you for your love and support. It's greatly appreciated. Hi, Lee. Hi, Johan, Dancing Gypsy. How are you?
Jojo.
Good to see you. Yep. And let's see who else we got. Oh, Steve, how are you? You made it on time. Right on. Good for you.
Yeah,
You're
you
not
did.
coming in late. Wow.
It's
What's up with
on
that?
time.
I love that. Dolly, it's good to see you. What's up, my peep? All right. I like that. Nice.
Have you seen Lucky flying his drones and giving everybody a bird's eye view of his drone footage?
Oh, that's cool.
That
Yeah.
sounds cool.
Yeah,
is
drones are
cool.
fun. Yep, drones are fun.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, you guys, tonight we're talking about the power of you and the difference that you can make, not only with yourself, but with others. And I think coming from spirit, we're so perfect in spirit, right? We're not lacking anything, but we come in here to the earth plane and we start living lives, and then pretty soon we're not happy with who we are, even though if you subscribe to the thought that we all choose our experience here. Why do we not accept ourselves, and why does it take so long to do that? So tonight we're talking with the panel, and thank you, Theresa, for being here. Hi, Sophia, Grandpa Brian, love that you're here. Thank you. And Nick and Jasmine, water and fire. I also call them my adorables because they are adorable.
Great.
Hi, Alderberry, good to see you. Thanks for
Squirrel
popping in.
buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I the first part of the show we're going to talk about and give each panel member a chance to talk about the power of themselves and how they use that. And then the second part of the show, we're going to have some slides and go over the subconscious mind and how that plays into the power of you, and how you can increase your ability to learn who you are and come to terms with the inner you that exists in all of us. But the 3D experience keeps us kind of sheltered and at a certain level. So I'd like to start with Grandpa Brian tonight, and I'd like to ask the question, Brian, in what ways do you use the power of you? Oops, we can't hear you. Sorry, Brian.
I am muted. Sorry about that.
There you go. That's all right.
Can you hear me now? Yeah.
Yeah.
I have myself muted.
It's all good.
That's how he uses the power of himself.
Well,
yeah, he just shuts himself off. Go ahead, Brian.
You have many different skills that you learn throughout your life.
Mm-hmm.
And you start incorporating all these skills into things to help make humanity better and to help make yourself better, make those around you better.
Mm-hmm.
That's a mindset that I finally came to a few years ago, that working on me, if I'm making myself better, I'm also making my environment and the people around me better too. Yeah. So by acknowledging finally that I have gifts, accepting those gifts and learning how to use those gifts, not only to better myself, but there again, also to better humanity and the people around me. And I think that's why we're here, is to not only help ourselves grow, but help others grow with us, because we're all connected. We're all one. So when you're helping yourself grow, you're actually helping someone else grow too, because we're all connected.
That's true.
Right.
Can I ask you a question? Have you always been comfortable in your own skin?
Oh, yeah. I was an athlete when I was younger. I mean, the self-confidence that I have, I mean, I had friends that were jealous because it was like everything I touched was gold and I was good at it, no matter what it was. It came to me naturally. And that's with a lot of things in our lives, because we've done it before over and over again. That's why things come to us naturally. Like the Reiki work I do. I've been a Reiki master in 2 or 3 different previous lives. That's why it comes easy to me in this lifetime. And I'm sure with others, it's the same way. You've been Reiki masters in previous lifetimes. So when you start working with this energy, it's familiar. It's easy for you to work with it because you've worked with it in previous lives. So it's not just about you now, but it's also about you and all your past lives. Everything has helped get you to this point to where we're at right here. It's all about. Go ahead.
Have you ever stopped to think that people like yourselves, where you do have a lot of confidence and all of that, that you probably have more wisdom, or you've amassed more knowledge than maybe some have, and so that gives you the ability to have the confidence and be the person that you are? And we are all created at the same moment, but we come into this with certain levels of knowledge. So I think you may have more knowledge and wisdom than others may have, and that's why you come in with this level of confidence. But a lot of us do not feel good in our skin, and it takes a while to become acclimated to who we are and accepting ourselves. So you've always been able to accept yourself for who you are?
Oh, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I've also, accepted myself for the choices that I've made in my life.
Mm-hmm.
You have to accept everything. I mean, look at all the shows that we've had on self-love, self-care, all about the self. Everything's interconnected together.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the first things that you would ever have to get rid of is self-doubt. You can never doubt yourself. Always be positive. Always look forward.
Do you ever say anything to yourself like, God, that was stupid, or I'm stupid, or I shouldn't have done that? Do you get down on yourself like a lot of people do?
No, because normally I catch myself before that moment. Oh, okay, you're getting ready to screw up. So, hey, stop what you're doing and think about it for a second before you move on. I've watched people screw something up and I get ready to tell them, and I was like, nope, I'll just let them do it, figure it out. Because if I try to tell them, they're like, don't tell me what to do. And then next thing you know, they're screwing up. You can say, I told you so, but it's better if you just don't say nothing at all.
It doesn't really need to be said, does it?
Right.
I mean, it kind of does. It's blatantly out there for you, but yeah.
Right. And then why would you want to say that to yourself?
Yeah.
Because then if you keep saying, man, that was stupid, I'm making stupid decisions. Well, guess what? That's going to keep manifesting in your life, because that's what you're thinking about is what you bring about.
Mm-hmm.
So if you stay positive with everything that you say about yourself, guess what? That positivity is going to keep growing and keep snowballing. And next thing you know, you won't even have those thoughts of, I'm a dumbass.
So you're saying you might start believing yourself if you're saying derogatory comments or negative things to yourself. That's gonna leave an impression, and your mind's gonna go, yeah, maybe I am, huh?
Right, because you're already
repetitive.
because you're thinking of it, you're already at that vibrational level.
Mm-hmm.
By saying I'm a dumbass, you're at that vibrational level.
Yeah.
So say, okay, that could have been a mistake. I thought about it for a second real quick. But I did make that mistake. Guess what I learned from that mistake? I won't do it again.
Yeah.
So if you stay positive about what you're thinking about, what you're doing, instead of, damn, I'm a dumbass and I shouldn't have done that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, boom, that just puts you right at that vibrational level of being a dumbass.
So what do you tell somebody, especially somebody in the audience who's watching right now and is getting kind of the full spectrum here, and they say these things to themselves and may not even really mean it, but they say it? How do they get to a level where you're at? How do they figure out how to be the type of person that you are and not the person that they are? How does somebody get to that point? What would you say to that?
Look at yourself in the mirror and say, I need to change my mindset. And look at yourself in the eyes. I need to change that mindset. And consciously think about changing that mindset. Because once you change that mindset, then automatically starts happening. You don't even need to think about it.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very good. I love that. Thank you, Brian. Very good. Well, Nick,
You're welcome.
Jasmine, appreciate that. Nick, I'll refer to you since you're kind of next there. In what ways do you use the power of you? How do you use the power of you for you?
Well,
how can you unlock that potential, Nick?
Well, the first thing I do, and is the most important thing to access it, is to tune out the noise.
Mm-hmm.
And by tuning out the noise, I mean tune out everyone else that is always giving you recommendations on how to do this, always giving you advice on what you should do with that. Always commanding you to go for this occupation or go for this lifestyle.
As if they know better than you?
As if they know better than you, yeah. It's almost like they're controlling or something.
Why do you think people do that? Why do you think people control others?
Because in their perspective, it works for them and they're trying to help. But it's an ego way of going about it, because you're not them. Even if they're your kid, they're not you. So whatever worked for you
doesn't necessarily work for someone else.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Everyone's path is different. So to get what they really need and what they really want, they have to go about it a different way. And
maybe they didn't have enough control within themselves. Maybe they had a situation in their life where they had no control. And so this is their way of gaining control from situations.
Yep. That's how I stepped into my power. I mean, I was always like that by default. But
yeah.
I didn't really start owning it until I figured out the direction I wanted to go with it, which goes into the next part. You got to know what you're about and what you want.
Mm-hmm.
The second part is you got to know how to apply that to your life.
Right. And exactly.
There's a G.I. Joe quote that comes to mind going, knowing is half the battle.
Mm-hmm.
The other half is application.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Like adding that next part to it because it's just as important.
Yeah. Because everybody really is coming from their own perspective, their own situations have brought them to who they are. So sometimes it's hard for people to put themselves in other people's positions and see it from a different angle. They're just so busy seeing it narrowly right in front of you instead of all encompassing.
I would like to reiterate.
Okay.
I'm not saying never listen to anyone, because sometimes you are being an undesirable, as I call them, and you got to be able to have enough self-awareness to figure that out for your own. Like it's pretty simple. Everyone has an innate instinct of what is right and wrong.
Mm-hmm.
It's not rocket science. You just have to be honest with yourself and then have enough integrity to make that switch if that's what's needed.
Mm-hmm.
So you got standing in your own power, knowing, listening to what you want and not what people try to convince you of what you want. Then you have the application of that desire and the goals. And then I would say the last piece to that is to understand that even though you have everything figured out, you can still fail.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no doubt about it.
And it's not because you did something wrong. It's not because you're not good enough. It has nothing to do with those things. It's just how life is. There are so many unpredictable variables in a reality that exists with free will that it's not going to be cookie cutter.
Right.
If your plan messes up, you don't get distraught over it. Get back up, no matter how many times it takes, and do it again.
Yep. I agree.
Eventually
Trial and error. Yeah. And that's the thing. It's just like riding a horse. Get bucked off the horse. Well, you're going to have to get right back on and hold on a little tighter and figure out a different way to stay on the horse.
Yep. There's a good saying. There's a good saying. You're not starting over. You're starting from experience.
There you go. I like that. That's very well said. Yeah. Excellent. How about you, Jasmine?
I wanted to ask Nick something real quick.
Sure. Yeah. Go ahead.
Mm-hmm. Just real quick. Nick, I love what you're saying. And there's a member of our community that for years and years and years, has always managed, for every pile of dung he falls into, he finds an opportunity to do something new and different and change himself or grow what he's doing. And I would admire that from a distance. I couldn't always relate to it because sometimes that would work for me and sometimes that would not. But it's the thought process of just viewing it as an open opportunity, an open doorway to something new and different. And I've seen this man fall on his feet and completely rebuild himself 100 times because he never lets go of that. So thank you for bringing that up, because I think that's one of the most powerful things you can have within yourself to guide your life with.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep. No problem. That's what I'm here for.
Thanks for sharing.
And I'm glad you are.
Jasmine, let's get to you, Jasmine. In what ways do you use the power of you, and how do you unlock that potential within yourself?
I use it every day, all day, because you are your longest commitment. No matter what, at the end of the day, it's you. At the end of the day, the only person you have control over is yourself. Don't ever forsake your free will, and because that's a God-given gift. That's one thing that you were born with, is your free will to choose what you want.
Mm-hmm.
So it took me a while, because unfortunately I wasn't as fortunate as Brian of always being sure.
I wondered about that. I was going to ask you, have you always been comfortable in your own skin?
No, I became comfortable in my own skin when I was 14, after my suicide attempt. That's when I became comfortable, because I was picked on a lot as a kid by everyone, like including my family. I don't know why. And families, like, they would rather pick on you at home to build tougher skin and then let you out in the world. But you know, growing up as a Jehovah's Witness, I was already exiled from a lot of people at school, and then just to have, so I was picked on at school, and then I was picked on at home. So my self-esteem was really low, because as a child, this is what I learned from psychology and in child development, is they think that house, that those four walls is their entire life. They think that school and that house is everything life has to offer. And if they're not liked at home and they're not liked at school, then they think that they feel that life, because there's just, that's it. That's all they have. They don't realize that the world is so much bigger than that. There's so much more people that, so long story short, my situation got pretty bad where I had to go in front of a judge, and they were like, so you have to stick it out until you're 18, because any person that tries to help you right now, they'll get hit with kidnapping because you're underage. And I was like,
yeah.
So I was like, oh, they're like, yeah. And they're like, and if we take you and put you in the foster system, even worse things can happen to you. So you're going to have to keep your head down and work until you're 18 till you can get out yourself. And I was like, damn.
How did that shape the person that you are today? So once you finally did get to 18 and you got out of there and you saw that life was different, how did that shape you as a person, the early part of your life, as to where you are after you turned 18?
This is a good question. This is something that we brought up in psychology. Is it choices? Is it seeing that the other side is greener, right? Or is it it's opposites, where like, I don't know what's out there, but I don't like what I have right now. It's kind of like, the way they described it is like, if Ariel never saw the human ship of Eric, right? The Prince Eric on the ship, would she ever want to be human? Because
she didn't know anything different, right?
Exactly. And I was like, no, but she was never happy. After her mom died, she was never happy. She always wanted something different. She didn't know what that different was until she saw Eric, but she knew she wanted something different. So I feel like that shaped me, because I knew what I didn't want to become. I knew what I held on to. And that's what I held on to when I was 14, is that it's not that I don't like living. I just didn't like the life I was living. I didn't like living my life according to other people's expectations, because it didn't matter. It didn't matter if I worked myself to the bone. It didn't matter how much I loved. It didn't matter what I did for other people.
Mm-hmm.
It never made them happy. It never made them stop hating me. It never made a difference. So once I learned that lesson that self-love comes from the self, self-respect comes from the self, and
the acceptance of the self, right?
Yes, because if there's a will, there's a way, right? There's that cheesy saying, but I feel that source, so whoever looks out for me, put different teachers in my path that made me realize that I had power over my life and over who I wanted to be, that I didn't have to be a victim for the rest of my life. So I always reference this book called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective Teens. It's a way easier read than The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. But it goes back to the subconscious mind thing, because when Brian was saying, look in the mirror and tell yourself, I don't want to do this, we're going to stop doing this, it works. Have you ever questioned why you get scared watching a scary movie? Your logical mind, your wake-up mind, your alert mind knows it's just a movie, but your subconscious does not know it's a movie. It thinks it's real.
It's very interesting you say that, because we're going to address that part of the equation here. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
excellent.
I'll leave it at that then. So
no, you're fine.
Your self-talk, your subconscious listens to.
Mm-hmm.
If you say, hey, I'm gonna get up and do the dishes tomorrow, and you don't do it, your subconscious keeps track of like, oh, you're a liar. Oh, I can't trust you. Oh, you're not this. And then it starts becoming a self-feeding loop of self-fulfilling prophecies, like Ryan was saying. You have to break that loop. So one way that the book teaches you to do it, it's called a piggy bank of self. Like, you make promises to yourself, and then you want to be like, I want to be the type of person that has the character that says what I mean to say. And I don't know who touched on it. Someone touched on it about finding solutions. Someone told me before, and it stuck with me for a very long time, you have to be solution driven.
Mm-hmm.
You have a problem, right?
Yep.
Are you going to find a way through it, over it, under it, around it? Are you going to, like, there's
or how do you even identify the problem? How many people don't even identify there's a problem?
That takes with a lot of work, because it's like, I don't know. So I got in a debate with somebody about self-awareness. It's not really self-awareness. You kind of have to look at yourself as a cartoon character, and you're watching TV and you're a character on the screen. And then the cool thing is you get to pick what that character looks like and what that character does. So
but didn't you already do that coming into this lifetime? Didn't you already pick and choose a lot of these situations already?
Yes, but a lot of people don't realize that
they don't realize it.
Exactly. That's my point. That's exactly my point. You were I'm sorry, Jasmine. Theresa, you wanted to make a point?
Well, while she was talking, there were a couple of comments in the chat room from BJ, Big Justin. The system has failed us.
Oh, yeah.
And another comment from Chloe about how she was shell-shocked, because once she realized how things really were, they were different from what her parents had told her. And I've been down that road too. Oh. And I think what Jasmine was just reaffirming here is that the power that you have is that you now recognize those things, because you can see those things more clearly now and see them for what they really are. For example, we are the system. From my perspective, we are the system.
Yeah, we agree to it.
So if it's broken, we had some input into it.
Well, and
maybe not you personally. Go ahead, honey.
No, I was just going to say, you have to remember that we have ancestral programming. We're brought up in a certain society, and things are done a certain way, and you have to conform, and you're part of that social experience. But it isn't till later that you start to learn and realize that you've got to make some different choices for yourself. But yes, it's a great point.
Things, sometimes there's the way they saw things in the 1940s is very different than the way
absolutely
we see things
look
now.
How women and men were different, how women were treated in the past as second-class citizens. I mean, that went on for a long time. It wasn't until my mother's generation, which is the silent generation, where they started coming out of it. Okay, because the woman stayed home, she was the homemaker, the husband did this, we all played our roles. But because my mother went through that, her whole entire life was different from my grandparents. So she changed that. And then my sister and I come in as baby boomers, and we're changing the whole thing.
That's right.
It's
Yeah.
not about family anymore. At least for us, it wasn't. It was about careers and doing something for society and changing the way that people see things and how people are in the world, and leading by example, being those people that didn't do the normal thing that our ancestors did. So
Yeah.
we changed that.
And they share what they knew then, or what they learned. They're trying to pass it on, But that's good too, in a way, because that is a contrast of what we experience in our reality. It allows us to see, oh, no, that's not the way it is, and that's not the way I want it. So now you can take affirmative action.
Right.
And make different choices
Different
that
choices.
they made, and break the cycles in the genetic.
And that's the key, is having those choices. But when you're in the thick of it, you don't feel like you have a choice, but that's the illusion. So
yeah.
Jasmine, anything else you wanted to say about that?
Just on the tail end of that, if sometimes there is a chemical imbalance in your brain and you do need to seek help. If you are constantly in a rut, or constantly in I'm trying to find a way to
kind of a loop. I would call it a loop.
Like a spiral, like a negative spiral, and you can't find a way out. Seek help, and that's nothing to be ashamed about. Like there's people out there that have been trained for this specifically. So.
Barbara made a comment here. My dad was a hoarder, and I have spent time understanding the fear of not having stuff available and being able to trust the universe. That's exactly what I'm talking about. It's that indoctrination. It's that that's what shapes you when you're young, because that's your example of life. And so you fall into that. But when you understand you chose to experience that so that you can change it, that's kind of how it seems to work, at least from my perspective and the way I see it. It may not work for everybody, but that's my perspective on that one. But interesting comment, Barbara. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Yeah, so it's fascinating, and it's so deep, and it's so embedded in us. It's
I like
it
that,
takes
Charles.
a lot to get past that. Yeah.
I like that.
Yep, Charles, you have the best comments.
Yeah.
And I love your perspective, because you have a unique perspective, being a psychic medium.
Yeah.
And all the things that you have developed yourself to be. You have a different take. And that's what I'm trying to show everybody, is everyone has their own unique view that is uniquely theirs. Sophia, how about you? In what ways do you use your power of you? And how can we unlock this potential through the subconscious mind?
Well, like everybody was saying, the subconscious mind keeps track. And I feel that's the part where the meditation, the affirmations, the doing things on purpose, setting your intention, progress, not perfection. Be careful what music you're singing along with. That was one that hit me, later on. I'm singing a song and I could almost hear my guides go, really? I'm like, okay. But some of the notes that I wrote down, and it's quite comforting. I've got quite a bit in common with Jazz. And the question, as far as like being comfortable in your own skin, I would say that really didn't unfold for me until I married my husband. And before Eric came into my life, I was in like serious survival mode, like looking over my shoulder, making sure, that I was taken care of. And now that I'm blessed with, the life that I have now, I've just now been able to like properly seat myself into who I am, which is why I feel my gifts are unfolding as quickly as they are. And I'm very grateful for that. But in what ways do I use the power of you? Now that I have the security and the stability that's escaped me for most of my life, and it's not all him, it's us, it's what we're allowing, and it's also being authentic. standing in my truth. When you come from a background of heavy shame, because when you speak the truth, most people don't want to hear the truth, especially when you're a couple decades younger and you're calling them out. So there was a lot of being ostracized and other things that were unpleasant. People telling me there was something wrong with me when I was just a very gifted kid. And then also you have my parents were from the silent generation, and most of my family was dead by the time I rolled around, grandparent wise. And what my parents were instilling in me, while I had the privilege of being around them like that, our culture was saying the exact opposite. So I was caught in this like tug of war between what my parents and the church was trying to instill in me, and we're not even going to go down that road. And then what the culture was, it was just like it was very, very uncomfortable. And I think part of me is still, buttoning up the fallout. But let's see. Standing in my truth, keeping myself healthy, that is a daily focus. Because if I don't do the maintenance as far as like the meditation, the self-care, physical, mental, and spiritual, I can render myself out of service. So, and my quality of work can be affected, and I'm not going to allow that. And it's within my control for the most part. The other way that I stay connected to the power of myself is by reviewing what I'm allowing in my life. So, and natural law, the only constant in the universe is change. Well, when you allow yourself to employ, positive change, when you're developing certain gifts, energy is neither created nor destroyed, it only moves. So if I'm going to allow something new into my life, that means something has to go. And it's not a punishment, it just is. And,
it's just time to make a shift.
Yeah.
Time to make some changes. Yeah.
And recognizing and reserving my right to make those changes, to myself. I'm not in the business of putting things on other people. That's their job. But taking time to say, have I outgrown this particular behavior? Is there something better that I can employ? That's just something that I do. Let's see. And then reapproaching situations, because if it's not working for me the way I'm doing it, then you get caught up in the loop of insanity, doing the same thing, expecting a different result.
Right.
And just finally being able to say, I want to make progress in this certain area of my life, and knowing that I have the power. I just don't have to sit there and suffer like I did when I was a kid and a teenager. I don't have to, weather the storm anymore, So
you don't have to be on rinse, repeat, do it again, rinse, repeat,
gosh,
do it again.
I don't think any of us like that.
No.
The other part, as far as the power of you, would be accepting people for who and what they are, and that includes me. Just because you see someone's potential, who am I to get upset with somebody if they don't reach it? That's on them. My job is, if I'm going to be involved with that person, is to cheer them on, and
be their greatest advocate.
Right. Because, I think all of us could agree on this, that once upon a time, we just needed someone to believe in us. How it unfolded, that's a different creature, but progress, I'm not gonna, I'm not that person, and I choose not to be, because I didn't like it when people were treating me horribly.
Right.
And then here's the part where the runes roll into it. I've been studying them quite a bit lately, but the rune Tiwaz steps forward, and that has a lot to do with claiming victory over yourself. Because, being gifted, being psychic and a medium, an underdeveloped medium as a child, I was getting information other people weren't getting. And then for a long time, because I wanted to be like everybody else, Right. Stupid me. Just kidding. Cancel clear. Um, you know, I sabotaged my own potential because I wanted to fit in. And there's nothing wrong being unique and gifted. You just have to focus things in a positive direction and find your people. And that's why I love this channel and Lucky's channel and Max's channel and Courtney's channel. It's because you can be there, be authentic, stand in your truth, say what you have to say, and share your truth and the power of what you bring to the table. And people aren't going to come down on you and treat you like garbage. They'll be like, yeah, that's interesting, or right on, Sophia, you know. And I feel that we need more of that. But claiming victory over yourself. And then the next rune is Berkana, which is, but in doing so, embrace your nature, you know, and that falls into the Oracle of Delphi, which is know thyself. So in order to tap into the power of you or who I am, I had to do a lot of inventory and a lot of soul searching and a lot of saying, you know, what am I? Why am I down here? And how can I be, you know, successful? Because for me, success equals happiness. It equals fulfillment. So that's when I started to focus on my gifts and my talents and surround myself with quality people of a similar nature, because that's where I feel that we shine. You know, if you're really good at mathematics, you're not going to hang around with a bunch of English,
Yeah.
It's like,
that's a great point.
Yeah, find your groove. Don't force yourself into something out of obligation or programming. It's okay, you know, incrementally in a healthy fashion to be like, you know, that's not really my truth anymore. And that's okay, because that's evolvement and that's change. And I feel that can be healthy.
Yeah, we all want to be loved and supported, right?
Of
And
course.
so it's no fun when you're not being loved and supported. I mean,
No.
that just sucks the fun out of all of that.
It can get dangerous.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Charles made a comment here I'd like to, and I agree with this. Are we supposed to be comfortable in the skin? No, I don't think we are, because that's part of the experience. Because
That'd be
this
so
skin
boring.
suit, no doubt, because the skin suit is temporary. I think it might be about accepting who we are and where we are in our journey. That's exactly what we're talking about here.
I like that.
That's a great point.
And allowing ourselves the concept that this is temporary, because when I got stuck in the mindset, you know, I get the tunnel vision, and then you come to the realization, you know, when someone you love passes, it's just like, you know, it gets so bogged down in our mindset and our thinking, you know, that it takes something like that to wake us back up.
Yeah. But it's all about experiencing that and coming out of it and learning from it and growing so that you could advance the soul. And I really believe that, you know, especially things that are really hard in life. And a lot of the times the people that are closest to you are your biggest reflection. They really are. And
I'd like
go ahead.
Following what's going on here in chat. I just want to say that not realizing it at the time, I went through a horrible, horrible, horrible period of isolation in the middle of the country here, with no close friends or close family nearby, with a diminishing family of everyone passing away and friends moving to other states. And I went through some of the darkest moments of my life. And at the time, I didn't realize it was a purification process. That isolation actually provided me with an opportunity to see the things I liked or didn't like about myself, and to get to know parts of myself in a better way, to be more comfortable, if you will, in my own skin, but not so comfortable that I can't recognize the things I wanted to work on and do. And so when I look back and reflect on it now, those were necessary times and such catalysts for change, positive change. And eventually you'll get there if you just hold on and keep that hope alive within your heart. that you deserve the very best, and that you are a lovable, warm, caring father, mother, daughter, sister, whatever it is that you are, you will find yourself in those moments. And you might not realize it right away. They'll come up, sneak up on you later and bite you in the butt later. But when they do, it's a good feeling, because it's like, oh my God, had I known then what I know now, I wouldn't have been so sad or lonely or feeling so, it's just something that you go through, and I see it now as for what it really was. And it was getting rid of all the poisons, getting rid of all the excesses, getting rid of
Things that don't work for you
all the things that
anymore.
don't work.
And it usually falls away. And sometimes it's very
Yeah.
abrupt and sudden
Yeah.
and overwhelming, but you got to meet it head on and move forward, because if you don't, you're going to just get stuck in the rut and the routine of it, and nothing's going to change. And that stunts your growth, so to speak. So there's no fun in that.
I don't have time for that.
Yep. Ain't got time for that.
Yeah. Don't make me sing the song. We're all thinking
I love that.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Yep. No doubt about it. Was there anything else you wanted to say on that, Sophia?
I would say that I'm the way I am for a very good reason. I bring a lot of things to the table, and even saying that now, like the parts of me that I'm still working on are like, what are you saying? And I'm like, I'm speaking my truth, and there's nothing wrong with that. I feel that when you navigate intense shame from all surroundings, when you don't have a safe space anymore, that it can take a while to stand in your truth and be like, this is who I am, this is what I'm about, and to stop ducking the programming from our culture and our family. And it can get lonely. And again, that's why I love, the shop and camp and the channels, because I feel like I'm part of something, and that's escaped me. But just realizing that we don't just have to weather this lifetime.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's important. We have
it very much so is. Yes.
Amen to that.
I agree. Thank you, Sophia.
Thank you.
All right, Miss Theresa, we are to you now. In what ways do you use the power of you? You had something you wanted to share?
Yes.
And how do we unlock this potential?
Yeah. Okay. So I have a couple slides I'm going to share in a minute, but I just want to start off by saying that for me, I had to first define what does she mean by the power of you? And that's an interesting way of looking at things. And so I had to focus on that a little bit, like the power of me. Okay, so it's meeting those challenges head on, like y'all just said, accepting every challenge as an opportunity rather than a failure, as a way to open a new door, like Nick was talking about earlier, or closing it on yourself. But your power is your ability to accept those things and go with the flow, to keep an open heart and an open mind. And I've learned that prioritizing meaningful spiritual connections with certain people is a very enriching experience, particularly when it's a significant other, building that trust and relationship. So I'm more selective as to who I surround myself with at this point in my development. And it's not out of a feeling of selfishness. It's a feeling of self-preservation, but it in a positive way, because I am attracted to those who have light and vibration that will help me lift mine as well. So it's synchronicity with those people. So that's a huge part of discovering your own power, is your ability to pick and choose more carefully and precisely what you resonate with, and toss out the rest temporarily. Not that you don't love those other people, but you keep your circle very tight, so that you can, be the best you can. And then also, The connections with my spirit guides are very important in other versions of my own self. That's how I get to my true self and find out what my powers really are. Because each one of my aspects in every life I've ever lived has something to share with me and something to show me. Sometimes they're really, really good and really, really cool, and sometimes they're really not so good. But I learn from those experiences, and they help shape me in my movement forward. And so spending a lot of time just communicating with those aspects of myself has been very beneficial. And also my guides, my ancestors, and other beings that I communicate with that bring in other insights and help me with gain perspectives. Go ahead.
Can I ask you a question? What do you tell people that are not in that kind of frame of mind, that don't have that ability yet to communicate and be on that kind of a level? There's a lot of people watching that don't communicate with spirit.
Well, tell them the same thing you told me.
Okay. Go for it.
Don't be so serious. Have fun with it. Ask them. They'll show up.
Yeah.
Well, I don't do that. I mean, I see them every now and then, and I pray to them because that's what I was taught. I wasn't taught to interact with them on a personal level. And you said, just say hello, crack a joke, see if they answer you. Experiment, 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 experiment. Practice, 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 practice. Get yourself into a mindset where you set aside a certain time every day to do this. Whether it be in whatever the best time of day is for you. But you have to want to do it. And once you do it and you start establishing those relationships, the communications will open and you'll go with the flow. But what I have realized is it creates an undulating wave, a wave of positivity. It creates a pulsating light within you. And so when you go into these meditations and you allow this communication to flow, you can feel yourself changing. You can feel how that frequency is affecting you deep within in every cell within your body. And so you can't live without it once you've experienced it. There's no going back.
Yeah, there is no going back.
There really is no going back because once you've got the relationships and the rapport, it can only get better from there, not worse. You know?
Right.
So,
yeah.
So it's, but it's not only creating that wave of energy and pulsation within me with my vibration, it puts it back out into the universe, into the conscious field for all of you. And every time each one of you does that, I benefit from it too. And that's when you come to a realization you're not alone, that there's more than one thing within you. And it's not just aspects of you, it's aspects of everyone. Reflecting back into you and into your heart with their knowledge and their wisdom. And so you're never alone. So all of a sudden, my isolation, feeling of being isolated, Doug, went out the yin. Bye, Karen. Yeah, it went out the door. I love what I'm doing here now. So let me get to how I broke this down real quick. It's still up and running, so I can minimize. That's my first slide. Can you see it?
Yep, sure can.
All right. On the left, I broke this down in such a way that I could explain it to others without getting lost. So that photo on the left I took in my own neighborhood yesterday. It's waterfalls in the clouds.
Beautiful.
And I took the picture because I just had to stop and pull my car over, much to everybody's annoyance, beeping at me, yelling at me, calling me names. I was like, do you see what I see? You don't see this around here that often. Are you crazy? And they're like all jumping out of their cars, taking pictures. So they stopped yelling at me and they started taking pictures because that is the sun's rays. And it looks like waterfalls in the clouds. So that's how I see my personal power. It's all of my strengths, talents, knowledge, and abilities that I choose to leverage so that I can influence situations that will help me to achieve my goals. So I'm deciding to pull out those things and notice those things that make positive impacts on others. All of my skills and qualities, I discovered I have great empathy. I'm very creative. I have excellent communication skills. I used them well in business. I use them on the personal level. Mediumship and psychic gifts I now have. I've only recently come into my mediumship gifts. Leadership abilities, problem solving. I identified areas of expertise that I'm good at, and everything I outlined helps me to navigate life the most effectively for myself. And when I didn't recognize those talents or didn't pay attention to them, I thought I was a loser or just plain lazy or, just not in tune. And I guess I just wasn't in tune with my own self to appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
But the point is that while I'm doing that, it makes me more pliable and more available to help others.
That's true.
And help other communities that I'm involved with. And let me just, I have to switch slides. Go to this one. All right. Okay. Now on the left is a graphic showing that inner eye, showing that connection to the cosmic connection. And that's because before I launched into focusing on each one of those things and writing those things down, and I've been keeping a journal for a while on my attributes, okay? So, but these three things are kind of an underlying foundation for everything that gets built on top. And that's ethics, self-reflection, and empowerment of others. And I was just sharing with Doug the idea of self-reflection. And Doug, I'm not trying to, it's only because you spoke out and had the courage to share what you were going through. And I really appreciate that because I recognize part of you and part of me. But I realized I've always tried to use my abilities for the greater good. I've always tried to act with integrity. I don't try to manipulate people, and I don't try to cause people harm. But if I'm not focusing on it and acknowledging that within me, then I'm just letting and not paying attention to my own ethics. And so I remind myself in everything that I do to hold true to those set of values and ethics. Regularly assess how I'm using my powers and identify areas for self-improvement. So as I identify these powers and start using them in positive ways, I make note of it and I keep journals so that I know if I'm progressing or not. Or I call Laurie and I go, and Laurie will give you the truth. Or I seek to uplift and empower others around me by sharing my knowledge and skills to help them grow as well. I've always done this in business. I've just never been able to really do it in interpersonal communication, relationships with people. But now, if I set that as a goal to always seek to uplift and empower others around me by sharing my knowledge and my skills to help incentivize them as well, then that gives me more power.
Yeah.
And you'll see why real quick. I'm almost okay. Okay, so most of you know I'm Cancer the Crab. I was born on July 15th in Miami, Florida. And during the holidays, I saw this meme about the Florida reindeer and it cracked me up. But the reason I was thinking of the crab, see the claws up?
Yeah.
In the air?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, if folks know Cancerians, they know that these 4 areas are the strengths of a Cancerian. They've certainly been mine most of my life. It's just that now I can hone in on them and give myself recognition for them on an interpersonal way and in a loving way of self. So leadership, problem solving, learning and adaptability, and relationship building. Those are the 4 key aspects of a Cancerian. And so I have learned on a spiritual level now how to utilize my vision, communication abilities, and to help motivate others. Apply critical thinking and analytical skills to resolve challenges more effectively in my life that cause my emotions to run amok. And then I can gain control over my emotions and take control over a situation. So I'm basically taking these skills that one might learn at an executive level or a managerial level or a project leader level. Maybe you're a boss or you run your own company or you run your own business, Or maybe you're just an employee working on a team of people, but you see how others in management treat you. And so you see, intuitively who are the effective leaders and who aren't. But are they effective leaders in their own spiritual development? Are they effective in the same way? And it's almost like I live two lives. I have lived two lives. Now it's all integrated.
Yeah. Yeah.
Another way of seeing it is, aside from those 4 areas where Cancer is known for that part of their power complex, is something that's more on a spiritual level for me. And it comes from my guides. And this is why it's so critical for me. Now, this is me, folks. It's so critical for me to maintain those relationships with my guides and my different versions of myself, or my higher selves, and my ancestors, because they helped me to express myself more clearly and actively listen to others, and to foster understanding and promote a collaborative effort. I could do that on a business level, but when I'm dealing with other people's emotions and other people who are going through difficult situations, it's harder to do. But I will go to my angels for guidance, and I will say, how can I best listen to what this person is saying? And so they'll go back and they'll say, well, ask them to repeat. So I'll sit there and I'll go, what I think I hear you saying, Sophia, is, or what I think Lucky Stone is trying to convey is such and such. That's to get you to understand that I am listening to you, but I'm trying to improve the communication so that if I don't have it right, then I'm not really representing what you're really feeling, and you're trying to express it to me. So in a conversation, I will do that with you, because the spirits are guiding me to do that. Empathy, utilizing my ability to understand and share the feelings of others to provide support and build meaningful connections, which is what I was talking about before. Very specific connections with very specific people. But also anybody I meet on the street who's suffering, who's in need of something. I can be more empathetic by really understanding them, as opposed to just barely listening to them or shrugging them off, or saying, oh, you're having another psychotic breakdown, aren't you? Oh, you're depressed again. I'm so sick of talking to you about this. But it now enables me to be compassionate, but yet set appropriate boundaries to exercise that empathy. Because setting boundaries is important. That's another power of you, is recognizing when to do that and how to do it in a non-harmful way. Resilience instead of resistance. Bounce back from setbacks and challenges with self-determination and a positive attitude. Rocky Stucci is one of the people I was talking about earlier. The man has gone through so many setbacks, physically, mentally, spiritually, business-wise, and he bounces back. He fights back. He doesn't give in. He doesn't let go. He opens another door, creates a new opportunity, seizes it, and moves on. And his wife is right there with him through every bit of it. And it's not that they don't have their ups and downs. I'm sure they have some heated discussions. But they support each other. It's a true partnership. She goes where he goes. She follows him. And sometimes she sets the pace in the marriage and puts her foot down. But the bottom line is the man can't fail. I've known him for 7 years, and the man just never fails. And it's because he has that vision. He just expresses himself differently than a lot of us do. But it's in that expression that he also maintains his humor. And he has great empathy for others, and he serves society in so many ways. He serves children who are in need and disabled. He serves veterans. He's a fire chief. He put out fires. He's the one that runs into fires to save us. And sometimes he forgets to save his own self because he works so hard and he's so driven. And he's such an emotional meatball, he calls himself. It's because he's so sensitive that people can damage him because he doesn't expect them to act that way. And that's me. He's a reflection of me. He's also a reflection of someone like Chloe. who sits there and helps everybody every week in the chat room to find that connection for themselves. She's not telling them to connect with an angel. She's not suggesting they perform a magic trick. She's saying, examine yourself. I'm here for you. We're all here for you. Make a choice. So she's one of those that has the resiliency, bounces back from her own trials and tribulations, and makes a success out of selling her crystals, but it's also helping other people. Lastly, the advocacy, which is using your voice to speak up for causes that you believe in and support others who may need it. That's what Stucci does on his radio programs. He's an advocate for others. But what I've learned is that my power is to be my own best advocate. I'm not going to come to somebody else to save me, and I'm not going to run to somebody else to defend me. I am who I am, and I might not be perfect in other people's eyes, but to me, I'm the best version I can be right now. And so I will use my voice to speak up for things that I believe in and know and understand. I'm not going to put you down or anybody else, but I will defend my right because I'm no longer what somebody else is defining me to be. And the very last one has the purple violet flame of the open heart. And that's because those connections with the angels and the guides and your higher selves, once you've defined your true self and who you are and what you stand for, is that the purple flame opens you up for creativity and self-awareness. And so out of everything that I just went over, and those are just a few of many, what comes from that is your ability to be more creative. You are now more innovative in your thinking. You're generating ideas from a completely different perspective and point of view, from a much higher mind, so that you can look for solutions in a positive way instead of looking at the things that aren't working, the things that are broken that you can't fix. You're recreating yourself. You're transforming yourself from the inside out and allowing your more creative nature to take over. And that increases, and it comes hand in hand with self-awareness, recognizing your strengths and weaknesses, and actively working to develop yourself. So I could choose to sit out in the backyard by my fire pit or in my greenhouse and go, boo-hoo-hoo. I'm still here after 5 years of planning on getting out of here, and I'm still here. I'm trapped. No, I just haven't been taking the right actions or meeting things in a more positive way and putting those vibes out there so that I can get the help that I need. And now it's been crazy this past 12 months. I am actually doing it. I'm going to be moving soon. I'm going to be selling this place in a couple of months, and I'm going to be out of here, and I'm going to be on the road to my new life and my happiness because I finally got off my butt and stopped feeling sorry for myself, stepped into my true power, found out who I really am and where my strengths and weaknesses are, and now I know what I want in my life. And so that's what this means. This whole power of you is getting off your butt and activating those things with it, but you got to want to do it. And if it means you spend every morning for an hour, if necessary, communicating with, and even if you don't have one yet, you can talk to the guides, they'll still hear you, but they'll put thoughts in your mind and you'll start doing things.
And synchronicities too. I noticed a lot of synchronicities. Too. Yeah.
So I need to end this and come back to you.
No problem.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. But that's how I mapped it all out. And that's actually what I've been working on. And it really has made a difference in this past 12 months. It really has, more so than the previous 3 years. But it's been a journey, let me tell you. It's been a freaking journey.
Well, congratulations to you and the power of you. That's amazing.
And thanks to all of you. I know I mentioned it during Thanksgiving, but I'm going to say it again. Because you deserve to hear it. All of you folks who watch the program and support it, the ones that are in chat that send out good messages and encourage me in various ways, your postings on Facebook, social media, all you folks here on the panel, you are reflections of the parts of me that I really deeply wanted to be myself and just didn't know how to find it. But by sitting back and observing and watching you speak your truth, it's enabled me to pull that into my own heart. And I hope I've done the same for some of you.
Absolutely, you have. Yes, without a
So,
doubt.
I hope you have the best 2025 ever. And Laurie is going to teach us how to think
Well,
about things in a different way.
Charles just asked, are you going to ask the same question to yourself and share your thoughts on this? Yes, I saved the best for last.
Yes, she did.
I wanted to make sure that everybody had their opportunity to speak on it. But for me, it's important to start with changes to the way you think and feel, as well as responding to life's challenges. And I think it all stems from your subconscious mind. And I put together a little slide thing here for you to kind of go over this. So the power of you starts with the subconscious mind. And a lot of the changes that I've made in my personal experience has been through the subconscious and working with my guide. But I had to reprogram the way I thought, the way I spoke, the words I used, everything to create the version of me that you see now. In the past, I've been very curt, condescending, not honest with people, not honest with myself. I was a completely different person from what you see here. In essence, I was a good person, but I wasn't the best version of myself. I definitely feel like I am the best version of myself now, and it's to contribute through the conscious mind. So the power of the subconscious mind starts there. Okay, so what is the subconscious mind? The subconscious mind is the vast reservoir of thoughts, memories, beliefs, and emotions that exist beneath our conscious awareness. Think of it as the hidden engine that powers much of our daily behavior and decision making. And just as you can see in this picture, you see the iceberg, where there's just the tip of the iceberg, but look how much is below the iceberg.
Yeah.
That's not being used or utilized. So while our conscious mind handles immediate tasks like reading emails or attending day-to-day tasks, the subconscious mind operates in the background. And that's influencing our long-term habits, perceptions, and responses to the world around us. This is really important stuff. So how does the subconscious mind work? Well, to effectively manage and overcome daily exhaustion and stress, it's crucial to grasp how the subconscious mind operates. This hidden realm of your psyche holds the key to understanding your reactions, decisions, and your emotions. So I kind of want to delve into the workings of the subconscious mind with some relatable daily examples that you can easily connect with. And that would be, here's a good example. Habitual responses. Consider your morning routine. Everybody gets up, you wake up, you brush your teeth, you make your coffee. It's almost automatic, right? And without conscious thought. So these actions are orchestrated by your subconscious mind, which has learned to store these routines over time. It's like having a built-in autopilot system that allows you to conserve mental energy for more complex tasks during the day. It's the same technique you can use to reprogram your response to more desired outcome. So how do we reprogram your subconscious mind? The hidden realm of your psyche holds the key to reshaping your beliefs, attitudes, and responses to life's challenges. By delving into the proven techniques and strategies, you can begin to unravel the deeply ingrained thought patterns that may be holding you back. Some of those old stories you keep telling yourself, as you have given the example, Theresa, stories you were telling yourself that you couldn't do this or you couldn't do that. Reprogramming your subconscious mind is a transformative journey and empowering you to navigate the complexities of work, relationships, and self-discovery with newfound clarity and resilience. So self-awareness is the key. Self-awareness serves as the foundational cornerstone upon which the process of reprogramming your subconscious mind is built. It's the ability to consciously observe, understand your thoughts and emotions, behaviors, and how they impact your daily life. So acknowledging them, recognizing them. That's anger, that's fear, that's this, that's that. Okay. And kind of put that out of your way and not be so absorbed by the actual emotion of it. Being aware of your thoughts, words, and actions are the key to self-awareness. So part of it too, as I just said, identifying the stress triggers. Imagine you've just received some very bad news and you noticed your heart rate increases, your muscles tensing, and a sense of a panic setting in. This scenario, self-awareness, involves recognizing these physical and emotional responses as signs of stress. I see what's going on. I recognize it. I'm classifying it, but I'm looking at it objectively so that it's not becoming a factor for me emotionally. So by being aware of your stress triggers, you can then delve deeper to identify the underlying subconscious beliefs that contribute to this reaction. Yeah. It might be a fear of failure, a need for perfectionism, or even a belief that your worth is tied to the emotional outcome. Now, that's powerful when you start understanding that. So here are the 7 things that you can do with your subconscious mind. And I have to say, Lucky Stone, I'm going to give a shout out to him for positive affirmations. Yeah. Lucky Stone's very good at doing positive affirmations on his channel. And it's really important that you create your own positive affirmations as well. You know, sit down and look at the positive. Take 2 pieces of paper. What's the positive? What's the negative? And really visualize this in a way that helps you change the way you're thinking. So visualization is very important as well. You know, seeing what you want to happen, the outcomes that you want to see, all of that. And then guided hypnosis and self-hypnosis is really good too. And there's many ways you can do this. Guided hypnosis you can do on YouTube. And as Nick has said in the past, be careful, make sure that you go through that video and make sure there's nothing subliminal or anything that's going to harm you in any way, that you feel comfortable with that message. Then you can do self-hypnosis, which is connecting to the super subconscious mind. And a lot of people can do this effortlessly through their sleep. So if you have this plugged in and you're sleeping and it's playing over and over, it can be very helpful because it will get into that subconscious. And that's also the subliminal and audio and video effects. So Louise Hay is very good with that as well. She has a lot of really good affirmations, positive things to say when you wake up, things you say when you go to sleep, to retrain the subconscious mind to react in a way that's going to be more beneficial for you and not so autopilot. Okay, be in control of your will and your habits. And if you're doing something that you know isn't good, or you're procrastinating, just as Jasmine said, you're really lying to yourself. You're saying, I can't be trusted in those situations. So really consider that. And the last is autosuggestions. For an easy approach, tell your subconscious the results you'd not only like, but that you expect to see. And that's what's known as autosuggestion or self-suggestion. So really, the bottom line, your subconscious mind is an extremely powerful tool you can use to reprogram, to begin making the changes in your life. By using these 7 techniques, you can start reprogramming your mind today and training your subconscious to work for you and not against you. This is how I've been able to achieve a lot of the changes and things that I do in my life, and the things that I wanted to change, the things that I wasn't happy with in myself. And that's made a huge difference. So, and I've also looked at myself head on and seen the things that I wanted to change, the things that I did like, the things I liked about myself, the things I didn't like about myself. And I began to start changing them. And I noticed that the people around me started to notice the changes, but they couldn't really put their finger on it. Like, what is she doing? And what's going on here? Why is she so different? And it's a gradual change. And it comes in incrementally, step by step, synchronistically. And then suddenly you're thinking differently. You've changed the way you do things. and you are not coming from the same space you were before. There's a huge amount of pride that goes with it. And not only that, it's the pride from my guides and things like that that have really been beneficial to my growth. And also, when you reach a point like this, and just as Sophia has, and Nick and Jasmine and Brian, you start to help others with it, and you become the light for others. And that's really important because you want to give that back to people. And you want to show them that there is a different way to go about life. And you're expressing how you are, and you're coming from an honest, integral aspect of yourself. It's so important. And to not get down on yourself, to always uplift yourself, to always be positive about it, never to put yourself down. You can do that if it helps motivate you. That's great. And if that works for you, that's wonderful. But for me, I will never, ever do that to myself, not even jokingly, because I have more respect for myself than I have ever in my entire life. And
bravo, well done.
That's my power.
Everybody's loving what you were sharing. And you know, Chloe mentioned early on, and I just had to hold my tongue in cheek when she said people don't realize how you can reprogram your and they don't. And I'm like, it's coming up. Laurie's going to show you how it's done. But yeah, those are very helpful, and Charles pointed that out. And,
it's been quite a journey. And so now it's just onward and upward, right? So anybody can do it, you guys. Go ahead, Jasmine, you have a comment?
Yes, about the auto programming. What you said and what Sophia said, it ties in together because if you have what they call in psychology, it's called an inner voice, right? Or self-talk. Some people don't have that. So if you don't have that, pay attention to the programming that you're getting from the music you're listening to. If the music you're listening to is painting or making you feel in a negative way, then change it up. Another thing that I like to do, it was something that I was learning. It's called Etch-a-Sketch. So anytime that you get into like a negative loop, you hold your hands out and you like etch-a-sketch your brain. So when you start looking at all the corners around the room, that tricks your brain and it makes it stop. Whatever it's doing, it just makes it stop. So if you say happy birthday to you, and you start singing happy birthday as you're looking randomly around the room, your brain's like, what's going on? And then it just stops. So that's like a reset that you can try. Another one that I've heard of is like the bracelets and the clicking ones.
But, the beads. Yeah.
The beads.
Yeah. The monks do that as well. I've noticed. Also, I use a erase board. I picture a board, and then I'll picture my thoughts on it, and then I take a giant eraser and I just erase them out, and then I'll write out what I want. Sophia, you have a way?
There's a couple ways. It's a 2-bird 1 stone with the runes. When I memorized the Elder Futhark, I would say them in succession and then visualize them in my mind. And when you're focusing on something like that, no other thought, at least for me, can get in edgewise, and that can be a nice restart and very centering experience. And then the other one, kind of similar to Jazz's Etch-a-Sketch, you know, the TV for Poltergeist, the snow.
Yeah.
That's what I do a lot of times before I go into a static meditation to kind of control that monkey mind. Is I'll do like that snow on the screen. I'm really showing my age. All right, I'm done now.
And when you're programming yourself, be careful of false positives. Don't say, I don't want to get in a car crash, because
that's just going to bring more of that.
Clear that.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to have a safe trip today. Everything will go well, swimmingly, no worries. And I put my hands. Yeah, exactly. Never say anything because you will attract that to yourself. Yeah. The power of law of attraction. Yep. That works that way. And always, if you're dealing with someone else, I like to say, I hope the best possible outcome for you. And that's a good way to just put it out there. I wish you the best possible outcome.
I did it for myself today.
Yeah.
Ruby, I've been going through something with my dog, Ruby. She's 12 and a half, almost 13 now. She's been having upper respiratory problems, and I was concerned it might be something more. Given her age, she's doing it right now, and so it scared me a little bit. And I had taken her for all these tests and was waiting through the holidays on pins and needles, wondering what was wrong with her, as she was getting progressively worse. So before I left today, I told Laurie, you know, I gotta vamoose. I gotta get up, take her up there, and find out what's going on. And I had that tightness in the chest, you know, when you start feeling
that fear just
you know,
grapples you, yeah,
and I was like,
into you.
Nope. And you
Yeah.
know, I wonder if I hadn't gone through a meditation video that Laurie shared with me this morning, which was very meaningful about some visions we had last night. But in any case, I allowed that meditation to fill me with a lot of energy and to get rid of a lot of other stuff.
No matter what's going to happen, no matter how it comes out or plays out, you're just going to take it as it comes, right?
Right. And so I got behind the wheel of the car and I put the dog, and she's like looking over my shoulder like she always does. So where are we going, Mom? You know, I'm like, for dreaded news. And I went, no, stop that. It's not dreaded news. Nope. I'm not going to feed into the negativity. I'm not going to I started being Lucky Stone. I started going through those I just started going through one after another positive affirmation. And I sat there at the light in the middle of town and I went,
good job. Good.
And I just drove it all out.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, universe, I am going to leave this in the hands of the all.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just going to wish for the best outcome possible for Little Red Ruby and for everyone involved. Mm-hmm. And I'm just going to put that out there. And that's the only thought I'm going to have between now and the time I get there and sit down with that doctor. So I get in there, I sit down with the doctor, and they're like, sorry, the doctor's delayed. She's having to euthanize another dog. I'm like, oh, God.
Yeah, thanks for sharing.
Boy, were
That
you
was
being
helpful.
tested? Yeah.
That
Boy, were you being tested?
What?
I'm like, oh my God, that elderly couple that was sitting there so I left Ruby in the room, and I said to the nurse, I said, where are they? They're over there. I said, okay. So I walked over to them, and they were both just bent over. I said, I know this is a private moment, but I'm here if you need me. And the woman goes, grabs a hold of me, and the husband's like, ooh, you know, and he's patting her on the back. So I'm holding him, and I'm holding them, and I'm holding them as tightly as I possibly can. And till the doctor comes out and says, it's over. You can go in and see. They chose not to be.
Yeah.
They couldn't take it. They were elderly couple.
Yeah. Very good example.
I walked him in and I said, okay, so now I'm ready for my news for Ruby. See, you serve others. You serve yourself when you're serving others. So when you hear
you are me and I am you.
When you hear people in the spiritual community warning you, don't pay attention to others. It's none of your business what others are going through. You take care of you. You can't help them because you need to be this and you need to be. Hey, it's part of the purification and healing process to be connected that way with other people. It was part of our innate ability when we first became human beings. It's part of natural law, which we'll get into another night. But there's a code of how we conduct ourselves, and part of that is how we treat one another. Even if we're going through, even if we're going through the muck, there's always a way to find a time to help someone else. And I think Chloe does it all the time.
So what was the outcome?
I've seen her when she's exhausted. The outcome for Ruby.
Yes.
$145 later, ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching. She's fine. All she has is sinusitis. She doesn't have pulmonary disease. She doesn't have liver disease. She doesn't have lung disease. She doesn't have kidney disease. She doesn't have anything wrong. She's in perfect health almost. For the doctor said for a dog that's almost 13 years old, this particular breed, it's amazing she's as healthy as she is. There's nothing wrong with her. The choking is because she's developed some sinusitis for the dry temperatures in the house because everything got real cold here in Maryland. And I've been jacking the heat up, and she's not used to it.
So it's a positive outcome. Yeah. Positive
Positive.
outcome.
I'm sorry. Yes, most positive outcome you could expect.
Great. That's awesome.
Most positive outcome you could expect. And now I have a treatment plan for her, and we're on course. But
Excellent.
anyway, I'm sorry. I get
So
so
you
excited.
didn't waste any energy on the negative outcome. You
I just
actually
spent it in
transmuted
positive
that.
ways. Yeah.
Right. And that's a perfect example of how you do that. That's
I
awesome.
could have sat there in that waiting room holding on to my
Sure.
dog going, I hope it's not my dog.
Right, right.
Today too.
Right. But what good does that do you? It doesn't do any good.
Freaking nothing, you know?
Yeah. Think about that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's in my best interest? Yeah. Anyway, we're coming to the end of the show. I want to give everybody a quick opportunity to say their last comments. Grandpa Brian, anything you'd like to say at the end of the show here? What did you get out of it? How do you feel about it? What do you come away with at the end of the show here? What's your final thoughts?
Just, you have to be willing to work on yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You have to do the work. There's people that'll help you do the work, but you have to want to do the work.
Absolutely.
And, when it comes time to go, what's the footprint that you want to leave on this world?
Right. Yeah. I love that. Thank you, Grandpa Brian. Appreciate that. Nick, final thoughts?
I like cats.
Cats like you.
We know.
All right.
If that isn't personal power, I don't know what is.
Okay, I love it. Jasmine, how about you? Final thoughts, my dear?
Do you mind if I read this real quick?
Go right ahead. It's your
I'll
final thoughts. Yeah.
Okay. It says, "Who am I? I am your constant companion. I am your greatest helper or heaviest burden. I will push you onward or drag you down. I am completely at your command. Half the things you do might as well be turned over to me, and I'll be able to do them quickly and correctly. I am easily managed. You may merely be firm with me. Show me exactly how you want something done, and after a few lessons, I will do it automatically. I am the servant of all great individuals, and alas, of all failures. Those who are great, I have made great, and those who are failures, I have made failures. I am not a machine, though I work with all the precision of a machine, plus the intelligence of a human. You may run me for profit or run me for ruin. It makes no difference to me. Take me, train me, be firm with me, and I will place the world at your feet. Be easy with me, and I will destroy you."
Oh my God, I love that.
Love that. Yeah.
Where did you get that information?
It says, so who am I? That's
Okay, that's the book you were talking. Wonderful.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Awesome. Well
Excellent.
said, Jasmine. Well said. I love that. Sophia, sweet Sophia, what's your takeaway? What's your final thoughts?
There's a lot of content that quip that Jazz just busted off with hit pretty hard, in a good way because of the raw truth that's contained within those words. So, as far as the power of you, stand up straighter. And I've said this multiple times. If you could see yourself energetically, you would stand taller, you would smile brighter, and you would seize the day. We don't know how many we have down here. And I'm more into quality than quantity anyway. So be you.
Be you.
You bring a lot to the table just by being yourself.
Right on.
So
and thank you for being who you are, Sophia, because you definitely set the example for others, and you're greatly appreciated, greatly loved, and we do honor you in every way.
Well, thank you very much. I have a lot of respect for all of you, everybody in chat, those that participate, those that observe, and there's quality and happiness and joy and spending time with like-minded people, and I truly appreciate one and all of you.
Thank you, Sophia.
Thank you,
well
Sophia.
said.
We love you, sister.
Yep.
Love you, ma'am.
Sweet Theresa, what are your final thoughts?
Just I love you guys.
I love you, man.
I love you, man. I like hanging out with you on Friday nights. And yes, Regina, this is Friday night.
Yeah.
And Chloe, this is Friday night.
Right.
And yes, there will be a show
all night
next Friday night as well.
Yes, we'll see you next week.
So just closing remarks. Here's something you can start with right away.
Mm-hmm.
Just close your eyes and send all the healing, love, and energy you can to anyone you know who is hurting right now or suffering or struggling, and you don't know what to do for that person, but you care about them deeply. Just walk beside them in spirit. You can do that. You can send your energy to them and just walk beside them. Just be there for them. Don't do anything, but be there for them. And if you do believe in any kind of prayer or sending out any type of energy, just think of a giant love bomb and send out energy. And right now I'm sending out more healing energy to Scotty Roberts, who has more lives than a cat. He's always coming to the brink of death and pulling through. And he's done it again. So he's off the intubator and he's breathing on his own, and he's still in the hospital, I think. So we're going to continue to send him healing, love, and energy and support, and his wife, Rainey, with the kids being sick as well. And Rocky and his wife on their way back to Minnesota, and his mom, who hasn't been the greatest of health. That's how I'm doing it tonight. I'm sending that message out to the universe. It's that simple.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to talk to a guide to do it. I just send it.
Yeah, and that's wonderful. Thank you so much, Theresa.
Yep.
And for me, it's just, you guys really know the power of you. Stay positive, stay vigilant in your self-development. And really, the more you work on yourself, the more you improve, and you'll reach mastery over the self. And that's really important. So just want to thank everybody for being here tonight. The panel, thanks everybody for showing up and spending your time with us. Thank you everyone in chat. Thank you to those who are watching silently at home. We know who you are. We're just grateful for all of you. So make sure you hit the like, subscribe, share it out if you found some power in it. And we look forward to seeing you all next week. And we'll come up with something brilliant, I'm sure. And just appreciate you all so very much. So,
and thank you, Brother Barry Chad. I got to say it because it's the beginning of a new year. Thank you for always being out there for other members of this tribe and making notifications when you hear someone's ill or needs prayer or needs support, walking by David Knowles' side. All you do for this community all the time, Barry. You're a quiet guy, but you're
way to be there, Barry. Yep.
We love you and we thank you for that.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Peace out. Love you all.